This is a giant fire hazard in your home, but it's probably not what you think. It's not your dryer vent, it's not your oven, it's your bathroom exhaust fan. When is the last time you cleaned your bathroom exhaust fan? Because this is such an easy one to overlook, especially because it's high up there, out of sight, out of mind. And I'll be honest with you, for the longest time, I just was like, oh, I just have to vacuum and clean off that vent cover. I didn't really think about the inner workings needing cleaned, but then I learned that it really accumulates a lot of dust in there, and dust combined with a hot motor is a bad combination. And so we need to be cleaning this every now and then. The good news is it's super easy, doesn't take a lot of time, and you only have to do it a couple times a year. So I'm gonna break it down for you. If yours needs clean too, here's how to do it. Now, it goes without saying, always check the manual or the model of your fan online for best practices for how to care and clean them. But today we're just gonna do a basic clean that's going to remove that obvious dust that you see when you remove the cover. So for this task, you are gonna need most likely a ladder. I like an old toothbrush or some style of scrubbing brush, a vacuum, and a rag. So step one, before we do anything in this project, you're gonna wanna turn off the power to the fan. And then next we are gonna remove that fan cover, and we're gonna start by cleaning that. I don't know how yours looks. Mine was definitely very dirty and the dust was caked on. I do vacuum it every now and then, but I get lax, I forget about it. Again, it's way up there, out of sight, out of mind. And so the moisture that comes with the bathroom combined with the dust, it really just caked on there. So I went over it with the vacuum attachment, but it then needed an electric scrubber. You could do a toothbrush or scrub it in the sink with soap and water, but get this good and clean, set that aside to dry. It should be a pretty satisfying before and after if yours is as dirty as mine was. Okay, and now that our vent cover is set aside and drying, now we're getting into the fun part. So assuming that yours looks like mine under the cover and there are so many cobwebs, it looks like a scene from a horror movie, we are now going to vacuum those out. So get up on your ladder or however you're getting up there, grab your vacuum and start vacuuming up the large obvious cobwebs, and then we are gonna get into the detailed cleaning of all those intricate little spaces. Now for me, these little individual, what I'm calling like fan blades, these little grooves, were coated with dust. Again, the moisture from the bathroom combined with dust, combined with not having cleaned it in forever, it really gets caked on there. So I started with a Q-tip, and yeah, right, that was naive thinking. I would have gone through an entire box using that method because this needed definitely a brush or something to get that out of there. Now, I should say, before we proceed with this step, you might wanna put on goggles to cover your eyes or glasses or a hair covering, a face mask. It is going to be messy as you start sort of brushing that dust out of there. And you might be able to do it where you're sort of vacuuming as you're scraping the dust. For me, I just scraped it and let it fall to the ground. You could put a drop cloth down, but I didn't because I was like, I'll just vacuum and clean the floor afterwards. But it's a messy process, and just know dust is going to be going everywhere. So if you don't want to be breathing that in, or you don't want it to get into your eyes or your hair, wear proper coverings before attempting this step. So then I just went in with the toothbrush style brush, scraping down each fan blade, knocking that dust off of there. Messy, yes, but it is so satisfying, especially once you do a section and maybe you take a little break and step back and look, and you can see that before and after. So once you've gone through, gotten all the bulk of the dust off, I like to finish with a final vacuum, getting any, loose particles up. You could also wipe down what you can with a microfiber cloth and then call it good. Then you just put your fan cover back on there. And let me tell you, for us, that was the hardest part. My husband and I both were in there trying to finagle, how does this thing snap back into place? So once you get that figured out, then you are golden. And then you just need to do this maybe every 3 to 6 months to stay on top of it. Spring cleaning's coming up, so if you haven't done it, this is gonna be a great time to do it. And then maybe fall cleaning or whenever you think it's needed. And one final tip before we wrap up here, but did you know that you're not supposed to leave the fan run for long periods of time, and especially if you're not home or you're not near the room? I did not know this. I definitely always thought the longer you can leave it on, the better to prevent, mold and mildew. Or we have wallpaper in here. I thought leave it on super long so that way we don't risk that peeling. And then I read that you're actually not supposed to do that because it's a fire hazard. And I was like, ooh, okay, that could have been bad. So obviously leave it on for, let it do its job, let it do its thing, but always turn it off when you're not home and when you're not near the room. All right, I hope this was helpful, especially if you have not cleaned yours in a while. Let me know in the comments if you're like me and have neglected this space for far too long, or if you're on top of it and you're like, no, I clean mine every now and then. Like I said, try to get into the habit of doing this maybe every 3 to 6 months, a couple times a year. Spring cleaning and fall cleaning are really good times to tackle it. Not only is it gonna be less of a fire hazard, but it's just gonna be good peace of mind knowing it's clean. And let me tell you, when you get all that dust off of there, not only is it satisfying to see it all come off of there, but you're gonna feel good knowing all of that is no longer caked on the fan. Hit the thumbs up button if this was helpful and subscribe for even more helpful home tips.